Hello, I'm Dr. Brian Prax, author of this book, Reversing Neuropathy, Making the Impossible Possible. And today I'm going to be reviewing two electrical modalities that I have used in my practice to help reverse neuropathy. Since 2010, I've taken care of hundreds, if not even thousands of patients suffering from this terrible condition. You're here because you probably already know what it is, but generally there's 100 known causes for peripheral neuropathy. Burning, tingling, numbness, weird sensations like I've got cotton in my shoe, my socks feel bunched up, I feel like I'm walking on gravel, a whole host of other symptoms. It's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible condition. Okay, so on to the review. The first one is a electrical modality called the UltimaNeuro. The UltimaNeuro, some of the things that I like about it is it's high tech. On the other hand, that's one of the things that I don't like about it is that it's complicated. But let's go back and forth and we'll talk about UltimaNeuro. So it has a rechargeable battery like that. That's very nice. Good for the environment, right? Within the UltimaNeuro, you're going to receive cuffs. They call these cuffs because you're either going to slip them up onto your arms at the elbow, or you could go above the elbow. And then if you're doing your upper extremities, you're going to get a set of gloves, and as you can imagine, you slip that on, okay? If you're doing it in the lower extremity, then the cuffs go at about ankle, a little bit above the ankle, like in the mid-calf area. Cuffs slide on there, and then you're going to have socks, and obviously the socks go on. Then the next thing that you do is you're going to take your UltimaNeuro, and where did I put that? Where did my UltimaNeuro go? My UltimaNeuro is right here. Okay, so you're going to take your UltimaNeuro, you're going to plug your things in, and the instructions tell you exactly how to do this. You plug it in on the back, you're going to turn it on and go through the different channels. We're not going to go through all of that right now, but you need to tell it whether you're doing your hands or your feet or both feet or whatever. You're going to select the time and you're going to select the intensity. The most important thing, now this is with UltimaNeuro and this is also with the Rebuilder, is that we need to have a good conductivity. So with the Rebuilder, you're either going to use a bucket with the electrolyte spray that you're going to put in there, or you're going to spray it onto socks or even gloves that also come with the Rebuilder. But it's critically important for Rebuilder to use the Rebuilder electrolyte formula and for the UltimaNeuro to use their formula there. You don't need them wet, you just need them moist. Good electrical conductivity is critically important. Okay, so back to the UltimaNeuro, you got it hooked up. One of the leads, pretty obvious, is going to plug in. It tells you how to do this. Black lead plugs in here, slide it on, make sure it's moist, put the sock on, and the sock has its own lead that comes out of here, and the sock gets plugged into the red one. Again, that's all explained in the instructions. So that plugs in here, put the sock on. They suggest, I suggest, even Rebuilder suggests that when you're doing an electrical modality that's new, you want to start out slow. Maybe go 5 minutes, keep the intensity down, don't go crazy, but go slow and go easy. I have found the UltimaNeuro, its technology is both TENS unit and microcurrent. TENS unit is known to block pain. Now, I don't have any problem with blocking pain, especially the burning and stabbing pain that some of my patients talk about with peripheral neuropathy, but neither the TENS in the UltimaNeuro nor the microcurrent is actually going to stimulate the nerves to regrow, which is what the Rebuilder does. So advantage with UltimaNeuro is that its price tag is a lot less. The disadvantage though is it's really only going to be working toward, sort of covering up or making your symptoms feel better. Again, I don't have a problem with that. The disadvantage with the UltimaNeuro also is that I did find it to be complex. We got all these different buttons, we got menu, we got program, we got a light option, we got start, we got pause, we got timer, we got a lock and a toggle and an unlock. And again, it looks amazing, but my patients and I found it to be a little bit on the complex side. If you're looking to save money and looking to just cover up your symptoms, then I would say the UltimaNeuro would be a great place to go. Give it a try, okay? So let's move on to the Rebuilder. Now the Rebuilder is also an electrical modality, but what's different about it is that it uses the exact frequency. For those analytical, 7.83 hertz is the exact frequency that our nerves travel on. And so the Rebuilder is actually engineered to use that frequency to stimulate growth in the nerves. And so like I talk about in the book, reversing neuropathy, you're not going to reverse it just taking a Tylenol, or with the UltimaNeuro, you're not going to reverse it by just covering up the symptoms. That'll get you through the night, maybe get you through the day, but it's not going to reverse it. So if we're talking reversing neuropathy, I got to tell you, I would definitely go with the Rebuilder, okay? Again, a higher price tag, but I found it to literally stimulate those nerves so you can fix them. What do you want? That's really the ultimate question. Now, here's another advantage of the Rebuilder. It's super high tech. It somehow, I don't know how these magicians figured it out or how Dr. Phillips figured it out, but it somehow knows exactly when the nerves are starting to get used to the technology, and then it changes it. So the nerves are constantly guessing and constantly having to adapt to this. Now, the difference with the Rebuilder is instead of putting a cuff on here and a glove here, and the electrical stimulation goes here to here, blocking the pain, Rebuilder's not about that. You're going to put either socks on, left foot, right foot, or you're going to go to actually my favorite, which is going to be the bucket, okay? A special bucket here with a center right here in the middle. You're going to fill this, and I like to fill it just above the feet. Don't go crazy and go all the way to the top, but just fill it above the feet. You're gonna use the Rebuilder electrolyte. I usually just tell my patients, dump a little in, dump a little bit in there. You definitely want to make sure you have enough, but it's like a one glug here and one glug there. It's not that expensive, the electrolytes, but you have to have that. There's specific minerals in there like magnesium, calcium, that you have to have. The skin is going to absorb those, and that too is going to help heal those nerves. Okay, so you can put your right foot on this side, fill it up with a little water and the electrolyte. Your left foot on that side, a little water, little electrolyte. You set it down right there, and then here's the simplicity of this amazing tool. You're going to open it up, and this is what you're going to find: a Rebuilder. This is what I like about this. Man, it's really simple. There's no buttons on here. There's one place, one thing to plug in. That's going to be your leads here. And then, look at that, a little toggle switch. You're going to turn that toggle switch on until it feels comfortable. And that's the same as the UltimaNeuro. You don't want to crank this thing up so high that you just can't concentrate. You need a silver bullet, or you need a wooden spoon or a shot of whiskey to get through the treatment. But you bring it up to where it's tolerable, to where it's, you're feeling like, ooh, that's effective, but if I go any higher, that's not going to be any good. Now, as I said, there's a plug that goes in here, and I'm looking around trying to find it. We'll use the UltimaNeuro one. It's the same idea. You have one plug that you plug in here, okay? And then from that, you're going, oh, perfect, here it is. So here it is. Here's what the plug looks like. It's right here. This plugs into there, and then on the other side, you're actually going to get two of these little plugs that come out. So one plug goes in there, the other two come out. Now on these plugs, you can either connect them to these sticky pads. So we call these the white sticky pads. Very, very simple. It's just like the UltimaNeuro. Plug it in one side, plug it in the other side, and this is the difference. You're going to want to take these sticky pads, and you're going to put one on one hand and then one on the other. Go to your Rebuilder having plugged it in, and this is it. How simple is this? Plug it in here. Come on. There we go. Turn it on. You go, ooh, I start to feel that. Go a little more, a little more. Whoa. Okay, back it off a little bit. And you just sit there with these things stimulating, okay? This is what I call the land or the dry option. You got your pads on. A better option, a much better option, and you'll see why in a second, is instead of this, if you actually got or ordered the gloves similar to what UltimaNeuro has, these gloves built by Rebuilder are actually sewn in with silver thread. Okay, that's another reason why I think it's more expensive, but silver is a great conductor of electricity. So you really want to make sure you get, well, if we're going to spend the money, we should probably get the best product. So you slip those gloves on. It also has a little thingy, right, that comes out of that. You plug this Rebuilder, so you can unplug this, and you're going to plug it into your glove, okay? And then just like the UltimaNeuro, you slip one on one side, one on the other side. Gloves are going to be way better, and of course you're going to spray, right? So you get them moist, and then just like I was saying, you're going to turn this on until it's too much, turn it down a little bit. Gloves go around every little finger, every little nook and cranny, and it's going to stimulate both hands. Here's the difference. UltimaNeuro, glove and then cuff, stimulates from here to here, blocking pain. Rebuilder, glove, glove. The electricity is going to go from all of this hand all the way up your peripheral nerves, across the cervical spine, and over to this side. Here's why I like the Rebuilder. It's going to actually stimulate growth of all of these nerves, working toward reversing your neuropathy. So that's why I went with the Rebuilder, and then I thought, gee, this is going to be a lot cheaper for my patients. I went to the UltimaNeuro, got a few patients saying it's too complex, I can't understand it, and then I went back to the Rebuilder. So this is my favorite one for fixing neuropathy. Now, back to the feet. So feet, you have options. If you want to work on your feet, same exact idea. You got your Rebuilder, you got your two plugs that come out here. You're going to plug it into socks that you could order as an alternate, and then you spray those. Same exact thing as the hand. Turn it on. The nerves are going to stimulate from the right foot through the lumbar spine to the left foot. It goes back and forth, and it's constantly dynamically changing. And the other cool thing about the Rebuilder is after about 22, 23, maybe 25 minutes, when it somehow figures out we're done, these nerves can take no more, it turns itself off. So that's why we say the Rebuilder is somewhere between 22 and maybe 28 minutes, because the brain in there is going to turn it off when it's done. Okay? Now, my favorite for the feet, even better than the socks, would be the bucket. Okay? There's not really much better of a conductor. I guess metal's a better conductor, but there's not really better of a conductor than salty water. Okay? So I like the bucket better. As I said, you put 1 foot on the in the right side, 1 foot on the left side, and you turn that on up to a therapeutic level, maybe turn it down just a little bit, so that you actively stimulate regrowth in those nerves. Now the Rebuilder, I got my notes here as well, but the Rebuilder is going to stimulate those nerves, but if you get it to the right level, you should feel either your hands doing this, or if you're down in your lower extremities, then you should feel your calves doing this. So it's going to stimulate the sensory nerves. Those are the nerves that feel things, or in the case of numbness, don't feel things, but it's also going to stimulate those motor nerves, the muscle nerves, okay? So when you feel your calves doing this, you're actually stimulating those nerves to those muscles, and the research has actually shown muscles can grow too. So we do have people reporting back like, I feel stronger, my balance feels better, okay? So that's cool. But there's another thing that it does. When you're doing this to your calves or your forearms, then you're actually activating your circulatory pump. It's kind of like walking, it's kind of like exercise. When you do this and you get that calf doing that, it's increasing circulation to that area. So you got your feet in here, you're increasing your circulation at the same time, you're bringing in a molecule, actually a Nobel Prize winning molecule called nitric oxide, which is going to increase the dilation of your arteries. Basically, it's going to bring more oxygen to those nerves. It's going to bring more mineralization, minerals, because you have the electrolyte formula in there. It's going to increase that muscle strength, and you're going to get contractions of those. So increasing blood flow, working on the muscles and stimulating the nerves. That's why I like the Rebuilder to work on reversing neuropathy. So that's it for my comparison between the UltimaNeuro and the Rebuilder. They both have their advantages, some have their disadvantages. But if you should have any further questions, feel free to contact me, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.